I want you to do something right now, before we get into any of this. Think back to Syndrome's final scene, not his death. The moment just before it, when he stands there and says,
"And when everyone's super, no one will be."
Most people hear that as a villain's monologue. The ranting of a man who wants to destroy what he could never have. But what if it isn't a villain's monologue? What if it's the only genuinely honest thing anyone says in this entire film? Just to be clear before we go any further, this video is not a defense of a murderer. The killings are a fact, and they're not up for debate. But the man and the idea he stood for are two separate things, and most people have never looked at the second one honestly. So, was Syndrome right? Not as a person, as a thinker. To understand Syndrome's position, you first have to look honestly at the world he grew up in. Not through Bob Parr's eyes. Bob is the winner in this world. Through the eyes of someone the system was never designed to include. The world of The Incredibles runs on a single unspoken assumption that nobody in the film ever questions. People born with superpowers deserve a special status. Government protection, legal cover, a dedicated agency, a relocation program, a whole infrastructure built around keeping them safe and supported. All of it handed to them at birth because of a specific genome. Not for their character, not for their choices, for their genes. Bob Parr didn't train for years to become strong. He didn't sacrifice anything for his power, didn't earn it, didn't pay a price for it. It was just there from the moment he was born, permanently, for free. And that power opened every door that stayed shut for Buddy Pine. If you take the phrase superpowers and replace it with any other inherited trait, bloodline, title, family name, what the film is describing has a word for it: aristocracy. A ruling class defined by birth. And Syndrome was the only character in the entire story who named it out loud. Most people remember the scene with young Buddy as a moment of childish rejection. A kid wanted to be part of something cool, got told no, held a grudge. Simple story. Watch it again. Buddy didn't show up asking for an autograph. He showed up with a working invention rocket boots he designed and built himself as a child. Without a lab, without resources, without anyone teaching him how. By any objective standard, that is a remarkable achievement at any age, let alone his. Bob didn't look at the invention. Not really. He saw a kid without powers and brushed him off, because in his world, a person like that simply doesn't belong, regardless of what they've built or what they're capable of. The message Bob sent in that moment was completely clear. What you create with your mind and your hands doesn't count. The only thing that matters is what you were born with. And that idea, that innate talent is worth more than earned skill, became the foundation of everything Syndrome did afterward. Bob didn't create a villain. He showed a child how the system worked, and the child understood it perfectly. Here's the part that tends to get glossed over. Syndrome didn't just argue that an ordinary person could reach the level of a super. He proved it in the most undeniable way possible, with results. By the time the film takes place, he has 0-point energy, a weapon that no super in the entire canon possesses. Rocket boots that give him the speed and maneuverability of flying supers. An immobilization system that stopped Mr. Incredible, a man who physically cannot be stopped by conventional means. And the Omnidroid, a machine that defeated dozens of supers in sequence, adapting and improving after every single fight. All of it built by one man, with no superpowers, through intelligence and work alone. Think about the scale of that for a moment. Syndrome, by himself, reached a technological level that outperforms the physical abilities of most supers in the film. And here's the detail that the film never draws attention to. The Parr family doesn't defeat the Omnidroid versus 10 with their powers. They defeat it using his technology. Bob grabs the remote control. Frozone freezes the platform Syndrome built. The Omnidroid's own claws, Syndrome's design, are used against it. The film shows his technology working better than genetics, and then never acknowledges what that means. Back to that line. When everyone's super, no one will be. Most people hear a threat he wants to devalue supers, erase their significance, take something away. But read it literally, and it describes something else entirely. His plan was to sell the technology to everyone. Not to become a hero himself, to distribute the tools so that any ordinary person could have the capabilities of a super. Rocket boots, zero-point energy, the full suite available on the open market, accessible to anyone. In a world where everyone has access to those tools, being born with a specific genome is no longer a basis for privilege. The person born without powers is no longer structurally disadvantaged by default. That's not the destruction of supers as people. That's the end of supers as a caste. Think about it in terms of the real world. Glasses and hearing aids equalized vision and hearing for millions of people. Antibiotics gave everyone access to protection that was previously a matter of genetic luck. Nobody calls that an attack on people with good eyesight. It's called progress. Syndrome was proposing the same logic, just in a world where the inequality ran deeper and the stakes were higher. There's something in this film that works so precisely it has to be intentional. Bob Parr and Buddy Pine want exactly the same thing. Both of them want to be exceptional. Both of them are angry that the world won't let them be. At the start of the film, Bob is secretly breaking the Superhero Relocation Act because he cannot accept an ordinary life. He's nostalgic, he's miserable, he believes he deserves more than what he has. Syndrome feels exactly the same, only he was never given the genetic pass that entitled Bob to feel that way in the first place. The difference between them isn't desire, and it isn't character. The difference is that one of them was born with a right to exceptionalism, and the other wasn't. Bob received that right for free, through a genetic lottery he did nothing to win. Buddy tried to earn it through intelligence and labor and was rejected specifically because he tried to claim something that others simply received without asking. The film builds this mirror very carefully, but it never says out loud what it sees in it. That work is left to the viewer, and most viewers miss the reflection entirely because they're watching the story through the eyes of the one who won the lottery. So was he right? His idea that exceptionalism shouldn't be a genetic privilege, yes, that was right. His argument that intelligence and work should be worth at least as much as an inherited ability, that was right. His technology proved it without a single word of explanation. And here's the thing that stays with me. At no point in this film does anyone actually argue against his idea on its merits. None of the heroes explain why genetic exceptionalism is better than technological exceptionalism. None of them answer the question he raised. Syndrome is defeated physically. His idea is simply ignored. That might be the most honest thing about the film, because there genuinely isn't an answer. I want to leave you with one question. If Syndrome had stopped at some point, no killings, no spectacle, and simply started selling his technology to anyone who wanted it, would he have been a villain? Or would he have been the most important inventor in the history of his world? The film doesn't answer that, because if you answer it honestly, you have to admit that a right idea and a broken person can exist inside the same human being at the same time. And that's a much more uncomfortable thing to sit with than a simple villain.